Good afternoon, Walt Disney. It's a pleasure being here with you today. We'd like to start our interview with you telling us a little bit about growing up, Walt. Where you grew up, when you were born, anything you'd want to share about your family.
Well, I was born in Chicago, Illinois in 1901, December, and I was the fourth of five children. Later, when I was about 4 or 5, we moved to Missouri, and I worked on the family farm there.
Great. Now, being such a famous cartoonist, we'd love to know what inspired you to become a cartoonist.
Well, I was on a very busy street drawing portraits of people, and a doctor said, "May you please draw a portrait of me?" So I said, "Of course," and I did, and he liked it so much that he gave me 25 cents, and I thought, well, I'm a really good drawer, so maybe I could be a cartoonist.
Excellent. So when you decided to be a cartoonist, who would you say was one of your biggest supporters during your career, or who encouraged you to follow your dreams?
Well, I think it was my brother Roy. He was always there supporting me. He never let me down. He was just a huge fan, and he actually started the business with me.
Well, how interesting. Where did the idea of Mickey Mouse come from?
Well, I was on a train ride from New York to California, and I was just doodling, and I showed my wife Lillian this little mouse that I called Mortimer. She thought it was very cute and she liked it a lot, but she didn't like the name, so she thought it should be named Mickey, and then that's how Mickey the Mouse was made.
So he was a new inspiration for you.
Yes.
Was that around the year 1928, is that correct?
Yes.
Also an interesting fact, I think. Could you tell us who was behind the first voice of Mickey Mouse?
The first voice of Mickey Mouse was actually me, myself.
Oh, wonderful. So you started your career, Walt, making short cartoons. Tell us about the first full-length movie you made.
Well, the first full-length movie was Snow White, which was also the first featured movie that actually had sound to it, and it became one of the most famous movies ever.
Do you know how long it took you to complete Snow White?
It took me about 2 years.
So I think I had read, tell me if this is correct, people sort of doubted that fans would be willing to sit through a 90-minute movie.
Yes, a lot of my animators and even my brother Roy, he thought, well, there's no way that people are going to sit through a 90-minute cartoon. So he really didn't think we should release it, but I released it anyway and became one of the greatest hits.
It did. It broke box office records, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
$8 million, and just to let us know how much money that would have been back in the 1900s, can you share with us how much tickets used to cost to see a movie?
23 cents.
Oh, my goodness. Another very famous cartoon of yours, movie, The Three Little Pigs. Can you tell us the motivation for creating that story?
Well, the big bad wolf was supposed to remind everybody of when they were losing their homes during the Great Depression, how they had no jobs, they couldn't put food on the table, they were losing all of their houses, and the three little pigs represented the people during the Great Depression, how their houses were destroyed, they had no food, they had to go to the one big brother's house.
Okay, how interesting. So it was about the Great Depression. Can you tell us about the creation of Disneyland?
Well, I have always, ever since I started thinking of being a cartoonist, I've always wanted to build an amusement park. So I built an amusement park and named it Disneyland, which was built in California because the last studio that I had before I built it was in California. So that's why I built it there. And I also teamed up with ABC. Out of the three TV stations, the really popular ones, NBC and CBS, wondered if they could help me build an amusement park, but they didn't want to do any paying for it. But ABC offered to, so they helped me, and I agreed with them.
Wonderful. Well, our final question for the interview, Walt, which I hate to end with, but how did your life end?
I died of lung cancer.
How old were you?
I was 65 years old. And actually, while I was on my deathbed, my brother Roy was right there next to me when I had the lung cancer, and I was going to open another amusement park that I was going to name Disney World. So I told him the exact location in Florida, and after I died, he started building Disney World, and 2 months after it was finished, my brother Roy died.
Excellent. Well, it's been a real pleasure, Walt. The pleasure's been all mine.